In 2025, America's overall violent crime rate has declined in many large cities, with the FBI reporting roughly 364 violent crimes per 100,000 people in 2023. But beneath that national progress, some small towns and cities remain caught in cycles of violence. Today, on the Discovery Trail, we explore the 10 most violent places in the United States. These are not places tourists often visit. They're real communities where daily life is shaped by economic hardship, systemic neglect, and gun violence. Behind each statistic are families doing their best to survive and rebuild. This is not about shaming any city. It's about understanding where and why violence concentrates, what local leaders are doing about it, and what it means for migration, safety, and hope. For global viewers, especially in the Philippines and across the US, these stories reflect deeper social truths shared across many nations. Let's begin. Number 10. Anniston, Alabama. In the hills of northeast Alabama, the small city of Anniston, home to about 21,000 people, has struggled with a violent crime rate far above the national average. According to FBI data, there were around 177 violent crimes in 2022, translating to roughly 842 incidents per 100,000 people. While gun violence, robberies, and assaults remain high, this marks an improvement from previous years. Much of Anniston's hardship traces back to economic decline. The closure of Fort McClellan and major textile factories left unemployment above 10% and poverty exceeding 20%. As jobs vanished, drug use and gang activity began to rise, particularly in poorly lit, neglected neighborhoods on the city's outskirts. Local authorities are pushing back. Police have intensified patrols and launched youth outreach programs. Churches and community leaders are working to rebuild trust and offer safe spaces. A longtime pastor summed it up best: Anniston is fighting back, but every day people here still face hard choices. Despite the challenges, residents hope their town can chart a new path. Number 9. East St. Louis, Illinois. Just across the river from St. Louis, Missouri, East St. Louis has one of the highest violent crime rates in the country. With a population of about 18,500, the city saw over 280 violent crimes in 2022, including 50 homicides, putting its murder rate at a staggering 190 per 100,000 people. East St. Louis was once a thriving riverfront hub. Today, nearly 40% of homes are vacant, and more than half of the city's children grow up in poverty. Years of industrial decline, job loss, and neglect have left deep scars. Entire blocks are marked by decay and desperation. Gun violence, especially among youth and gangs, is rampant. Law enforcement is underfunded, and public trust in police is low after repeated controversies. But efforts are underway. Local nonprofits mentor teens, neighborhood watches have formed, and federal grants support violence prevention. Change is slow, but many residents are working tirelessly to bring safety and dignity back to their streets. Number 8. Birmingham, Alabama. As Alabama's largest city, Birmingham, with nearly 200,000 residents, has long faced a violent crime problem. In 2023, the city recorded about 150 homicides, giving it a homicide rate over 70 per 100,000, 10 times the national average. Other violent crimes, including aggravated assaults and robberies, remain high. The roots of this violence lie in a mix of poverty, segregation, and a post-industrial decline. Birmingham once thrived on steel, but the loss of those jobs gutted communities. Today, nearly 1 in 4 residents lives in poverty. In predominantly black neighborhoods, infrastructure remains underfunded, and trust in the justice system is fragile. City leaders have formed a crime commission and launched violence prevention programs. Police are partnering with clergy and business leaders to build safer communities. And while 2024 saw a modest dip in homicides, the road ahead is steep. As one activist said, "We have the culture, we have the spirit, but we need real investment in our people. Number 7. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio, once a symbol of industrial might, continues to battle high levels of violent crime. With a population of around 372,000, the city saw over 1,000 assaults per 100,000 residents in 2023. Robbery and homicide rates also remain well above the national average. While parts of Cleveland have seen economic revival, others, especially on the east side, remain stuck in deep poverty. Abandoned homes and underfunded schools are common in these neighborhoods, where unemployment mirrors the worst years of the 1980s. The city is trying to respond. A federal consent decree has restructured police practices, and grassroots violence interrupters are working street by street. There are signs of progress. Violent crime ticked down slightly in recent years, and job opportunities are growing downtown. Still, for families in affected areas, fear and trauma linger. Can Cleveland balance growth and equity and finally deliver peace to all its communities? Number 6. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, with over 650,000 residents, has one of the highest violent crime rates in the country. In 2023, it recorded more than 16,000 violent incidents, about 2,667 per 100,000 residents. Aggravated assaults made up the bulk, with over 12,000 cases. The homicide rate remains alarmingly high. What drives this violence? Persistent poverty, segregation, and the legacy of industrial decline. Nearly 25% of Memphis residents live in poverty. Some neighborhoods face chronic neglect, lacking both basic services and trust in law enforcement. In response, the city launched an Office of Community Safety in 2024. This agency coordinates social services, mental health support, and youth outreach. Homicide numbers have dipped, and new strategies, like violence interrupters and hotspot policing, are showing promise. But for many families, fear remains a daily reality. Memphis is rich in music history, yet scarred by violence. Its fight for safety is far from over. Number 5. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, once the heart of American industry, still faces a violent crime rate around 2,000 per 100,000 people, roughly 5 times the national average. In 2023, the city recorded 252 homicides, its lowest since the 1960s, yet still a sobering figure. Assaults and robberies remain widespread in several neighborhoods, and some blocks are marked by extreme blight and abandonment. The city's struggles began decades ago when the auto industry declined and automation replaced factory jobs. As the population fell, entire areas were left deserted. Today, only 1 in 3 buildings is occupied in some districts. Poverty and unemployment continue to feed cycles of crime, especially where schools and public services are under-resourced. Yet Detroit is changing. The city has invested in surveillance systems like Project Green Light, expanded youth mentorship programs, and focused on trauma counseling. Early 2024 data showed a 7% drop in violent crime. Officials credit this to better policing strategies and deeper community partnerships. Still, Detroit's story is not one of overnight success, but of steady, hard-earned progress. The question is whether the recovery can reach every resident, not just a few. Number 4. St. Louis, Missouri. St. Louis, with a population of around 302,000, has long struggled with some of the nation's highest violent crime rates. In 2024, it reported around 168 homicides, or approximately 55 per 100,000 residents, comparable to levels from the 1990s. Though some metrics improved slightly last year, the city remains deeply affected by gun violence and structural inequality. The geography of violence in St. Louis is stark. The north side, long segregated and underfunded, sees the highest crime. Decades of discriminatory urban planning, highway expansion, and industrial decline have left many neighborhoods cut off from opportunity. Vacant homes, struggling schools, and limited police presence create an environment where violence can thrive. Recent initiatives offer hope. An Office of Violence Prevention was launched to coordinate outreach, community policing, and youth programming. Some neighborhoods have reported fewer shootings, and citywide homicides declined compared to 2023. Still, fear lingers on many streets. Residents describe walking home before sunset or avoiding certain blocks altogether. St. Louis is trying to rewrite its story, but trust, investment, and time are still needed. Number 3. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Missouri, often known for its fountains and jazz, has been grappling with an alarming rise in violent crime. In 2023, the city reported a record-breaking 182 homicides. Though the 2024 count fell to 147, its violent crime rate still hovers near 900 per 100,000 residents, well above the national average. The violence is concentrated in neighborhoods east of Troost Avenue, where generational poverty, poor schools, and a lack of jobs push some youth toward gangs. Community members say that gunfire is common, and residents often live with constant anxiety. Mothers plan grocery runs around daylight, and many avoid public spaces after dark. City officials launched the Save KC initiative in 2024, combining increased patrols with social outreach, mentorship, and new job training programs. Downtown revitalization and public transit investments are underway, but these developments haven't yet reached the hardest-hit areas. Kansas City's story is still unfolding, marked by moments of progress and persistent challenges. The hope is that these gains will grow into lasting change. Number 2. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee, home to nearly 572,000 people, has long faced high levels of violent crime. In 2023, the city saw around 169 homicides, a slight improvement from its record 214 in 2022. Its overall violent crime rate, about 1,518 per 100,000, is nearly 4 times the national figure. Robberies, assaults, and shootings are common in several districts. Milwaukee's challenges are rooted in deep racial segregation and generational poverty. Black communities, particularly on the north side, face high unemployment, underfunded schools, and neglected infrastructure. In some areas, economic opportunity feels out of reach, and trust in police remains fragile. City efforts have become more holistic in recent years. Civilian-led crisis response teams now handle mental health emergencies, and green spaces are being developed to reduce stress and violence. Youth programs and job training have received new funding. In early 2024, homicides and gun-related crimes dropped in key neighborhoods. Still, the gains are uneven, and for many Milwaukee families, a single siren can undo months of calm. The city's struggle shows how complex and localized the path to peace really is. Number 1. Oakland, California. Oakland, located across the bay from San Francisco, tops this list with a violent crime rate of around 3,600 per 100,000 people in 2023, more than 8 times the national average. That year, the city recorded over 15,000 violent crimes, including 119 homicides. These numbers shocked many, as Oakland had previously made gains in reducing crime. The decline in police staffing after budget cuts left communities vulnerable to rising gang violence and carjackings. In 2024, Oakland saw some relief. Homicides fell by 32%, and overall violent crime declined nearly 20%. Officials credit better clearance rates, targeted patrols, and renewed community engagement. Still, deep-rooted inequality remains a major challenge. While tech wealth transformed parts of the Bay Area, many West Oakland neighborhoods remain plagued by poverty, overcrowding, and limited services. Residents speak of living with constant tension, of hearing gunshots near playgrounds or worrying about safety on the walk to school. Yet the city is also full of activists working to heal trauma and build resilience. Youth mentorship, community gardens, and restorative justice programs offer signs of hope. Oakland may be improving, but sustaining that progress will take serious, ongoing effort. These 10 towns remind us that national averages can hide local crises. While much of the US is safer than it was decades ago, violence continues to haunt communities that have been left behind. The stories from Anniston to Oakland are not just about crime. They're about inequality, resilience, and the complex journey toward justice. For our viewers in the Philippines, India, and across the world, these stories reflect broader questions. How do cities recover from economic collapse? What role can communities play in restoring safety? And what does real progress look like when every life is at stake? If this episode gave you a deeper understanding, please share your thoughts in the comments. Have you or someone you know lived in one of these cities? We'd love to hear your story. Don't forget to subscribe to the Discovery Trail for more real-world stories from across the globe.